The glow of my phone screen felt toxic. Just an hour ago it had been a vessel of joy, a conduit for the flirty happy messages that followed our perfect date. Now, it was a small cold rectangle of dread in my palm. The words swam in the blue light, stark and clinical against the emotional high I'd been riding. Her, haha no, not seeing anyone else. But I am still talking to one guy. We just haven't been able to meet up yet. Our schedules are both crazy. The message was bookended with casual emojis, as if she were telling me about a package that was delayed in the mail. But each letter hit me like a tiny stone. One guy. My mind, which had been blissfully replaying the soft pressure of her lips against mine, the way she'd laughed with her whole body at my stupid joke, was now a whirring engine of anxiety. That kiss had felt like a conclusion, or at least a definitive turn of the page. It happened on my doorstep, under the amber glow of the porch light. The air was cool, carrying the scent of late-night pizza from the shop down the street. It was the end of a perfect birthday. We'd gone to that little Italian place she loved, shared a bottle of Chianti, and talked for hours. She'd listened, really listened, when I talked about my work, my family, the dumb dog I had as a kid. And I'd found myself completely captivated by the way she described her passion for landscape. Painting, her eyes lighting up as she talked about capturing the colors of a sunset. When she'd leaned in, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. A confirmation. This is real. This is going somewhere. Now, that feeling was curdling in my stomach. I typed and deleted a dozen responses. Oh, okay. Too passive. Why? Too aggressive. So, you're planning on meeting him? Too insecure. I finally settled on a non-committal gotcha. Well, I'm heading to bed. Had an amazing time tonight. It felt cowardly, but I couldn't articulate the knot in my chest over a text message. The next morning, the knot was still there, a solid lump of doubt. Her good morning text arrived as usual, complete with a sun emoji. I stared at it. Was she texting him too? Was she sending him a different emoji? This was a poison I hadn't asked for, an uncertainty that tainted everything. The next few days were a masterclass in self-torture. I became a digital detective, a pathetic archaeologist of our text history. I scrolled back, looking for clues I'd missed. Had her excitement been genuine? Or was I just one of several tabs she had open on her browser? Her response times seemed a fraction of a second longer. Her use of exclamation points seemed to dwindle. I was probably imagining it all, driving myself crazy over nothing, but the seed of doubt had been planted, and it was sprouting thorny vines around my heart. 4 dates. To me, that was significant. Date 1 was the screening process, the "are you a serial killer or a decent human being" test. Date 2 was to see if the chemistry from date 1 was a fluke. Date 3 was where you let your guard down a little, shared something more personal. But date 4 was different. Date 4, especially when it's as good as ours was, is about intent. It's the unspoken agreement that you're building something. You've crossed the threshold from random people from an app to something more. For me, the idea of swiping or messaging another woman felt like a betrayal of that nascent something. It was baffling to me that she didn't feel the same. On Friday she texted, "What are you up to this weekend?" And there it was. The question I was dreading. My mind immediately jumped to the worst-case scenario. If I'm busy, will she use that free time to finally meet up with him? I was now in a competition I hadn't even signed up for. I was running a race against a ghost, a faceless avatar in her phone. I knew I couldn't go on like this. This limbo was more painful than a potential rejection. I had to say something. Not in an ultimatum, not in anger, but I had to lay my cards on the table. My own peace of mind depended on it. "Free Saturday," I replied. "There's a new brewery that opened up downtown. Or we could grab a coffee and just walk for a bit. I actually kind of want to talk." The word "talk" hung in the air between us, even over text. It's the loaded gun of modern dating. She replied, "A walk sounds nice." We met at the park near her apartment. The afternoon sun was warm, and families were out with their dogs and kids. It was a painfully normal and happy scene for the conversation I was about to initiate. She looked beautiful, wearing a simple sundress, her hair tied back. She smiled when she saw me, a genuine warm smile that made my stomach twist. Was I about to ruin this? We bought coffees and walked along the path circling the duck pond. For 10 minutes, we made small talk. Her week at work, my ridiculously demanding cat. The silence between topics felt heavier than usual. Finally, I took a deep breath. So I started, my voice steadier than I expected. When we were texting the other night after my birthday, you mentioned you were still talking to someone else. She kept her eyes on the path ahead, her pace not faltering. Oh, yeah. And I need to be honest about how I feel about that, I continued, forcing myself to look at her. For me, after the dates we've had, and especially after that night, my focus is entirely on you. I'm not looking for anyone else. I'm not talking to anyone else. I'm genuinely excited to see where this goes. She was quiet for a moment, sipping her coffee. I could see a flicker of something in her expression. Surprise? Defensiveness? Okay, she said slowly. I appreciate you telling me that. The thing is, I said, feeling a surge of clarity, I can't operate in a situation where I feel like I'm being compared or auditioning. It's just not how I'm wired. It makes me feel insecure, and it makes me second-guess everything. And what we've had so far has felt too good to be ruined by second-guessing. Finally, she stopped walking and turned to face me. Her eyes were soft, but guarded. I hear you, she said. And I really, really like you. Our dates have been the best I've had in a long time, that's the truth. Then I guess I'm just struggling to understand, I said, trying to keep my tone even. What is it you're waiting for? What does this other guy represent that you're not willing to let go of for what we have right here? She sighed, looking down at the ground. It's not really about him. He's just a profile. I don't even know if I'd like him. It's about me. The last guy I dated, I fell for him really fast. I cut everyone else off after 2 dates. I thought he was my person. And then 3 months later, he ended it out of the blue. Said he just wasn't feeling it anymore. It completely shattered me. I guess I'm just scared of putting all my eggs in one basket again, only to have it dropped. Her vulnerability disarmed me. This wasn't about her having unlimited options or playing the field. It was about a scar. She wasn't trying to hurt me, she was trying to protect herself. I nodded, a wave of empathy washing over my frustration. I get that. I really do. I've been there too. But at some point you have to take a risk, right? You can't let the ghosts of past relationships sabotage a potential future one. And for me, this situation, it feels like I'm paying the price for a mistake some other guy made. The words landed between us, stark and true. She winced slightly, acknowledging the hit. I know it seems like that, she said quietly. So, what I need from you is just some clarity, I said, my voice gentle but firm. I'm not giving you an ultimatum. I'm just telling you what I need to continue this. I need to know that the person I'm with is choosing to be with me, not just choosing me from a list of options. I need to know we're on the same page, building this together, without any what-ifs waiting in the wings. We stood there in silence for a long moment, the sounds of the park rushing in to fill the void. The ducks quacked. A child squealed with laughter somewhere behind us. I had laid it all out. My feelings, my boundaries, my hopes. The ball was in her court. My fear of her answer was now replaced by a strange sense of peace. I had honored my own feelings. Whatever happened next, I knew I had been true to myself. She finally looked up, her eyes meeting mine. They were filled with a conflicted honesty that told me this wasn't going to be a simple answer. Can I, she started, her voice barely a whisper, have a little time to think about that? My nod was slow, a single deliberate dip of my chin. It was an acceptance of her request, but also an acceptance of the limbo I was about to enter. Okay, I said, the word feeling small and inadequate in the vast space between us. Take the time you need. I didn't add a deadline. Didn't try to hedge my bets. The whole point of my speech was to remove the gameplay, to be direct. Adding a stipulation now would undermine everything. And so, we walked. We walked away from the pond, away from the judgmental ducks and the laughing children, and back toward the street where our lives would diverge. at least for a little while. The silence wasn't comfortable anymore. It was heavy, thick with unspoken calculations and possibilities. Every step felt like a countdown. When we reached her car, the goodbye was a clumsy, chaste hug that felt more like a collision of two people bracing for impact. I watched her drive away, the red tail lights shrinking into the evening gloom, and felt a profound hollowness settle in my chest. I had been true to myself, yes, but the peace I'd felt a few minutes ago was already being eroded by the acid of uncertainty. The next 2 days were a masterclass in self-torture. Every buzz of my phone sent a jolt of adrenaline through my system, a frantic hummingbird beating against my ribs. I'd snatch it up, my thumb hovering over the notification, only to see it was a work email or a news alert. The digital ghost of her name seemed to mock me from my contacts list. I debated texting, just a simple, "Hey," to break the tension. But I knew I couldn't. I had given her space, and to encroach on it would be to betray the very confidence I was trying to project. Instead, I tried to live my life. I went to the gym, pushing myself until my muscles screamed, and my mind was blessedly blank. I met friends for a beer, laughing at their jokes while a part of my brain was constantly elsewhere, running simulations. What if she decides the other guy is a safer bet? What if my honesty scared her off? What if she's just letting me down easy? I realized then the irony of my speech. I had asked to be free of the what-ifs waiting in the wings, and in doing so, I had created a singular, monstrous what-if that now occupied center stage. I was making coffee on the third morning, the sky a dreary, indecisive gray that mirrored my mood, when my phone buzzed on the counter. It wasn't the sharp, intrusive buzz of a notification, but the softer, more sustained vibration of a text message. I saw her name on the lock screen, and my heart did a painful lurch. This was it. The verdict. My hand was trembling slightly as I unlocked the phone. The message was longer than I expected. "Hey, I know I asked for time, but I feel like making you wait is the wrong thing to do. I've been thinking non-stop since we talked at the park, about what you said. And you were right, it wasn't fair to you, and honestly, it wasn't fair to me either. I was so focused on the idea of exploring options that I wasn't paying attention to the option that was making me genuinely happy. I was supposed to meet that other guy tomorrow. I canceled. I told him I'd met someone I was really excited about, and I wanted to see where it went. That someone is you. I realized that the thought of you walking away, of you meeting someone else, while I was on some pointless date, was something I couldn't stomach. I don't want to risk losing what we're starting to build. I am completely, totally focused on you. I wanted to tell you this in person, but I couldn't let you sit with that uncertainty for another minute. I read it once, then twice, then a third time, letting the words sink in, patching the holes that doubt had drilled into me over the past 48 hours. A slow breath I didn't even realize I'd been holding escaped my lungs in a shaky sigh. It wasn't just relief. It was more than that. It was validation. The kind of profound validation that comes from making yourself vulnerable, and having that vulnerability honored and matched. My fingers flew across the screen, my own reply simple but sincere. "Thank you for telling me. That means more than you know. I'd love to see you soon." Her reply was instantaneous. "How about tonight?" We met at a small Italian place, a cozy corner spot with checkered tablecloths, and flickering candles that threw warm dancing shadows on the walls. The moment I saw her walk in, I knew things were different. The tentative energy was gone. She met my eyes across the room, and her smile wasn't hesitant or conflicted. It was bright and sure. When she sat down, she reached across the table and took my hand. Her palm was warm, her grip firm. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi," I replied, my thumb tracing circles on the back of her hand. "So, you had a busy couple of days?" She laughed, a genuine musical sound. "You could say that. It was a necessary crisis. Your speech in the park, it was like a splash of cold water. I was operating on this weird, detached autopilot of modern dating, following some script I thought I was supposed to follow. Keep your options open. Don't get too attached too soon." And you cut right through it. She leaned forward, her expression serious now. I want you to know, it was never about you not being enough. It was about me being scared. It's been a while since I felt this way about someone, this connected, and my first instinct was to build a safety net. The other guy, he was just a theoretical safety net. But when you made me actually look at it, I realized I'd rather fall with you than be caught by someone else. Her honesty was a balm. All the lingering whispers of skepticism in my mind, the ones that said maybe she was just playing the game, that she'd only chosen me because I'd forced her hand, they all went silent. Because this wasn't the confession of someone who'd been caught, it was the realization of someone who'd finally chosen. I was scared too, I admitted, my voice a little thick. Scared to say what I needed. Scared you'd walk. These last 2 days have not been my favorite. I'm sorry for that, she said, squeezing my hand. But I'm not sorry it happened. We needed it. We needed to know this wasn't just convenient, that it wasn't just an option. We ordered wine and pasta, and the conversation flowed easily, more freely than it ever had before. We talked about everything and nothing, but underneath it all was a new foundation, a shared understanding. We weren't two individuals on a series of dates anymore. We were a fledgling concept that was just beginning to test its wings. Later, as we walked out into the cool night air, she stopped under a streetlight and turned to face me. The golden light caught in her hair, and for the first time, the conflict in her eyes was completely gone. It was replaced by a clear, open invitation. So, she said, her smile a little shy. No more what-ifs waiting in the wings. I stepped closer, closing the small gap between us, and sliding my hands around her waist. No more what-ifs, I confirmed, my voice low. Just this. And then I kissed her. It wasn't like our other kisses, the tentative exploratory ones at the end of a date. This one was different. It was a kiss of arrival. A declaration. It was the closing of one chapter, filled with ambiguity and fear, and the quiet, breathtaking beginning of the next. We still had a long way to go, a lot to learn about each other. But for the first time I knew with a certainty that settled deep in my bones, that we would be walking that road together.